So you're in high school. It's getting close to the end of junior year for you and college is right up on the horizon. You toil away at classes that you aren't all that interested in, but eventually you start slacking. I mean, come on, does calculus really ignite a fire of passion in you? Add in a dash of teen angst and these new existential feelings and your grades start to slip. That's when that parental figure in your life shows up. Maybe it's an actual parent, maybe a grandparent, or maybe a teacher. They pull you aside and say, kid, you gotta stop all this screwing around. You gotta work hard in school so you get into a good college, then work hard in college so you get into a good job, then work hard at your job, and then you'll be successful. This is pretty standard, uncontroversial advice we hear in our younger years, but the question is never asked, what is success and why do we even want it? You want to see success? Just open up any social media app and start scrolling. You see it all, the cars, the fashion, the yachts, the beautiful models, the mansion, and most importantly, the money. You look at this lifestyle and you get hit with a bullet of immense desire. I gotta start grinding, you start thinking. You start planning, you listen to motivational YouTube videos, you lose all free time, you start even losing out on sleep. But one night it hits you. Is it all worth it? Is all the hard work worth that life of success I see others enjoying online? Do I really need it? Hello friends, welcome back to Amygdala Vids, bringing pop philosophy for the practically minded. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 1 of Henry David Thoreau's book Walden and see some similarities way back when in terms of hustle culture and compare it to today. I'll be working out of this portable Thoreau book and the link for it will be in the description below. So let's start by actually defining hustle culture. Hustle culture is an internet phenomenon that emphasizes and advocates for hard work or grinding. This hard work culture is usually associated with the entrepreneur or self-help sections of the internet. Now what's important is that the goal of this hard work isn't really specified, or it's at least kept vague. I think this is in order to allow motivational content to apply to a larger audience. Cause I mean, if you make an Instagram page just with motivational quotes on how to make it big in the pencil making industry, it won't have as big as an appeal as a page with quotes on how to make it big in general. Now you may hear all this and ask, what does Henry David Thoreau, the 19th century poet and philosopher, have to do with this internet phenomenon? Well, in chapter 1 of his book Walden, Thoreau makes some interesting observations about the people around him in that time. Most men are so occupied with the factitious cares and superfluous coarse labors of life that its finer fruits cannot be plucked by them. Actually, the laboring man has not leisure for a true integrity day by day. He cannot afford to sustain the manliest relations to men. His labor would be depreciated in the market. He has no time to be anything but a machine. So the people in Thoreau's time were also heavily occupied by their work. But not just any work that Thoreau calls superfluous. What's also interesting is that this is apparently the majority of people, which contrasts this notion in hustle culture that you're special and unique if you work super hard. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. Now you may say, obviously people are going to be working, no duh. You gotta work to live, idiot. Man, who is this Thoreau guy? He's in Massachusetts, right? Probably went to that school for morons. Well, Thoreau isn't saying all work is bad, just work sacrificed for superfluous reasons. After all, to work means to use time, and time is the most valuable commodity in life. But what does Thoreau mean by superfluous? This is best explained by Thoreau's escape from all this. It would be some advantage to live a primitive and frontier life, though in the midst of an outward civilization, if only to learn what are the gross necessaries of life and what methods have been taken to obtain them. So this is pretty much the overview of the whole Walden book. Thoreau gets some land from his friend Ralph Waldo Emerson, a regular on this channel. And he lives a life only pursuing the necessities of life, the bare necessities. So he makes a cabin, and this cabin has the bare minimum, with each piece of furniture providing a practical purpose. He farms for his food, does some reading and writing, and that's pretty much it. It's basic, it's small. I mean, Thoreau is pretty much the first ever minimalist if we're being honest here. So these necessities of life include shelter, food, water, clothing, and fuel. Fuel might sound like a weird one, but Thoreau places a poetic importance on warmth. And look, I've never been to Massachusetts. I just know the departed, or the departed, I know that Fallout 4 takes place there, and those morons at Harvard live there, but I'm assuming that since it's in the northern part of the US that it's gonna get cold, so fuel makes sense in that aspect. Now, anything that isn't a part of these necessities of life are ultimately superfluous since they aren't used to sustain life. And Thoreau notices that with those hard-working people, they're usually after certain luxuries that don't go towards sustaining life necessarily. With respect to luxuries and comforts, the wise have ever lived a more simple and meager life than the poor. Now let's time travel back to our time here. It's pretty obvious that people have a tendency to work extra hard for certain luxuries that are not necessary for life. I mean, we're all guilty of this, let's be honest. But some people take it far, going after fancy sports cars, designer clothes, travel destinations, large houses, bougie dinners, etc. Now there are a lot of differences between our time and Thoreau's, but in regards to hustle culture, I think the big difference is social media. Social media allows people to present a filtered, edited life of luxury, and then display it for the envy of others. This envy would then contribute to hustle culture, but it's an envy not based on those necessities of life. So we have these two ways of life. Hustle culture, where you work more for certain luxuries in life, or the Thoreau life, where you work less but only receive those bare necessities of life. We then gotta ask ourselves, what is gained or lost in simply working? And are the luxuries worth it? I'll let y'all answer that for yourselves in the comments below. For me, I think the type of work you do matters. I definitely work hard for this channel and admittedly listen to those motivational talks to keep me going. Shout out to Denzel Washington. But I'm also passionate about this work, and I'm hoping it could one day replace a typical 9-to-5 and give me more free time to do something I love. I would say this differs from working hard at a job you're not really passionate about because you're essentially sacrificing your time for a payout. When you do something you care about, that isn't sacrificed time. That's time you'd use for it anyways. In terms of luxury, I'm all about new experiences. So while I'm not really about fancy cars or designer clothes, I'd be willing to pursue something like travel where I could explore new cultures and land. So like dude, set me up in a cramped studio apartment, I don't care. But offer me a ticket to another country I've never visited before and I'm down. So yeah, I'd love to hear your own thoughts on the matter and how any of the ideas expressed in this video may affect your own work life. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell if you got any value out of this video, and I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.